and welcome to the Unapologetically You podcast. I am Iris Shepherd, that is your host. Welcome, everybody. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe for more and more content, more and more real, raw conversations. And today, guys, I have a very special guest, Mrs. Charlene Norwood. Welcome. Thank you for coming. My very first question, though, is who are you?
Well, first, want to say thank you for having me. I'm just a young lady that is inspired by helping individuals break a pattern.
Break a pattern. Well, I think you're a little bit more than that because I've been doing my research. For starters, you were recommended for me to interview. I'll say for starters, it started with your book. You just wrote a book. And I had a few people that purchased the book and kind of gave me high recommendations. And then they went a little bit deeper into your profession. So I just want to start by saying I see that you're a life coach. What is a life coach?
Well, a life coach is just someone that's not licensed as a therapist, but they help individuals find their journey.
Their journey.
Yes, and so we walk along with you. And so in my particular profession, I deal with cognitive behavior because I was a mental health student pursuing the licensure. And so I help individuals interrupt patterns and disrupt patterns that is negative.
So in layman terms, who would be your, ideal client?
My ideal client is someone that's ready. In my contract, I like to state I need you to be an individual that's ready to put in the work. Don't mean that you're not going to have any forms of resistance, but just someone that has decided that I want to put one foot in front of the other.
Okay. So as we have this conversation today, I'm going to, of course, bounce around because that's what I do. But it's a little bit deeper to me, like when you say I'm comparing myself a life coach and a therapist. We talked a brief second about the difference. And you're right, to me, I wouldn't be looking for a life coach and a therapist in the same setting.
Okay.
I probably would say, if I knew somebody that needed help and I say, hey, let me get you a therapist, they'd run. And then if I'm in that same room and I'm like, you know what? I know this life coach that can help you get your life in order. They'll be more open to hiring or working with you versus being a therapist. There's not much of a difference, but why is the terminology looked at or viewed so different?
Well, from a standpoint as far as licensure is looked at different because you have to pass a state test in order to become a therapist, but there's really no other difference outside of that because I use the same systems that they use within my practice. But when it comes to individuals deciding if they want a therapist or a life coach, it all depends on how a person feels about that, their perception. Because therapist, that title, or a counselor have a negative kind of perception to a lot of people. What happens in the house stays in the house. I don't need a therapist. You're trying to imply I'm crazy. And even some of them are starting to take on the title as a life coach, even though they're licensed and they can prescribe medicine and so forth and so on. But it all depends on the individual.
Okay. And as I kind of mature in life, I'll be honest, I used to look at therapy as like a no-go. Like, if you're going to a therapist, crazy was hand in hand one of the first things people say go to. But then I kind of gave it a try because I've always been told a therapist can hear you. And I learned talking out loud sometimes help you to kind of counsel yourself. Like, if you say something really crazy out of your mouth, I'm not going to say crazy, but let's say we start having a conversation and I start telling you that I'm drinking 3 bottles of liquor a day. Hearing that subconsciously will start to make you really realize, wow. And in reverse of that, sometimes speaking to life coach or therapist and you're saying what you're dealing with and they tell you, oh, I got a client that's dealing with that times 10. Mm-hmm. It kind of helps navigate your thoughts. And like you said, being taught in the household, our business is our business. don't take this outside of the household. It kind of builds a wall around, I would say, our culture to run from therapy. With you being one of us as well, what navigated you into the field of being a therapist, life coach?
Well, what navigated me was my own personal story. I mean, as you know, we're classmates. So, I've been to school and I've always been a cheerful individual, do crack jokes and, just a people's person overall. But there was an internal war that was going on with me. I've been suicidal for many years because I couldn't get past my own thought process. And so that's what started me on the journey of understanding that you must be transparent. And so I grew a passion for that. And so I started to mimic my own steps that I had to take in order coming into knowing Christ, having to be honest with myself. And so I have a motto that I like to tell my clients: what you refuse to confront will eventually confront you. So different little things that I was dealing with, different levels of insecurity, not feeling inadequate, always feeling misplaced was my journey, even though people see me at school moving through like nothing was going on. But there was an internal war that was going on with me. I didn't like me.
Wow.
I didn't like me. And so I started seeing how a lot of people couldn't detect that I didn't like me because how I showed up. And so that's why I'm very big on letting people know that in order to heal, you got to go through a certain amount of steps. You got to be willing to feel, to reveal, to deal so that you can heal. And if you try to avoid any of those steps, you're not going to properly heal. Because I can display whatever I want to display. And I did that. And even in my 20s when I wanted to end my life because life gets hard. And when you don't feel like you have an outlet or anyone to talk to, or if in my case, it was never that I couldn't talk to anybody. I had people to talk to. It's the fact that I didn't feel heard the way that I wanted to express. And so that caused me to understand I have to create this environment for people to be able to tell their truth and really be very transparent instead of burying stuff alive thinking that you dealt with stuff. And so that's how I started the journey.
And honestly, I don't even know if I want to call it a deja vu, but that's my whole purpose of Unapologetically You, because never seen, I made a joke. I said, we were very close in the third grade, and you started turning in all these awards for reading all these books. And I was like, I love her, but I ain't keeping up. And you are always a reader. You are always happy. You were always the person that was willing to answer the question. So it does sound off the wall to me to know that you were battling with something on the inside. But I also love the fact that you're saying, hey, I dealt with this. Let me go create a safe space for others to come here and survive. So again, I was kind of like doing my research, and I'm like, I found one of your clients. And so I asked them, I'm like, I don't want to know your business, but I want to know, like, who needs a life coach? And she said the same thing. She's like, I was at a point that I didn't want to live anymore. And somebody referred me to her, and I went to see her. But they also said you separated yourself from a personal relationship with them, and you kind of work with them in their mental health. So how are you able to do that?
I'll be able to do that because even coming into my teenage years and young adult years, I cherish and value and respect people's privacy. And so when you come into me and Charlene, I'm going to be Charlene to you. But if you come into me, and Charlene is, I'm a confidant, even in that role. But I understand that I have to make you feel comfortable. And so I always put myself in the same shoes. If I don't feel comfortable in that, and I have watched you and know that you're a person that is quick to share people's business and so forth and so on, I'm not going to talk to you.
So you wouldn't necessarily take them on as a client?
I wouldn't want people to take me on as a client if I was one of those individuals that displayed a certain kind of personality.
So the trust, I get what you're saying.
Trust is very important. And so what I try to do is I've lived a certain kind of way all my life. So most people that deal with me know she's trustworthy. She's very blunt and straight to the point. So my character has preceded me. so people know this is a safe place and I can talk. But I understand when an individual comes into me, I'm going to give them what they need in that space. And so I want to let them always know, even in my day-to-day life, that she doesn't live any kind of way, because that's what's going to make people comfortable. You're not going to be willing to open up to me if you see that that I'm talkative or that I can't be trustworthy. Because I have people that are enemies that are my clients, but they'll never cross paths because that's not who I am as a person. Your enemy will never know that you came to me and talk. And even now, I have clients, even counselors that are my clients. But I keep it separated because it's imperative to be able to separate the person from the profession, even though the person makes the profession, but I make people feel comfortable.
And we have officially launched the Unapologetically You podcast. It is winter of 2025. If you would like to be a guest, if you have a guest suggestion, if you would like to be on the panel, even purchase some merch, stay tuned. Follow me, subscribe, like, and follow. Below on the screen, you're going to see right where to reach me, where to reach out and contact me. We have a lot to come, a lot in store.
So I started writing this book about 5+ years ago, and it started with me just sitting with myself and trying to process. I'm like, how do I get from here to there? And so when I was having my alone time in meditation, the Lord was like math, and I was like, oh my God, okay, you in math, you got to answer the problem a certain kind of way, the orders of operation a certain kind of way to get to an answer. You can get an answer, but that don't mean it's right. And so I started seeing PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And so I started pulling it apart. I said, oh my God, the parentheses. You can't move or shift or do anything right or proper until you get your thoughts together. And so I'll write a chapter here and I'll sit on it a little bit. And then I said, okay. And then when I was doing my mental health classes, I started understanding about the amygdala, because you got to understand the mindset, because that deals with our soulish part of it. And I started seeing how that events will come up out of nowhere. You could be minding your business and events just come up. And so the amygdala starts to sit in the off, hey, alert, something's going on, even though you're not consciously thinking about it. But something done triggered you. And so I started reading about the prefrontal cortex and started seeing, okay, this is dealing with the logic of you. But if you have an unresolved issue going on within you, that's going to override everything and sit in the body. So I started getting interested. And so I just started taking notes. And so I wrote out the math equation and started taking it apart little bit by little bit.
Very good layout. I'll tell you guys that. Human Operations of Life is the name of the book, and I'm gonna post your information on it. And I'm not gonna recommend anything that I don't have a passion about. I think I'm very good about being honest about, hey, it tastes good, but it was expensive. Like, I'm gonna give you my review. And I really like, because I haven't finished it, but I've started it, and it's organized very well for the everyday person. And I think for us as humans in life, we don't understand. I have a little bit of knowledge on it because I've taken a class on human development, and I started to learn a lot of ways that we react and live has a lot to do with our life in the beginning. Did we come into the world dealing with trauma, or did we inquire a situation and it causes a shift or a change for us? And so I'm a tip of the iceberg of it, but reading your book, it does align with some things that I have been trying to reprogram in my own life. And I always went into it being within. If I think more positive or I respond in a more positive way, I can get more positive outcomes. Now, I also was briefly talking to you about how does a life coach align with relationships. I don't think we realize, I like that guy because he looked good. But once we go to turning in years and months and time with a partner, kids, it don't even have to be children. It can just be an attachment. Mm-hmm. Who needs a life coach?
I subscribe to the fact that everybody needs a life coach. or a counselor or whatever you choose to, because it's an interchangeable word depending on how you choose to look at it. I feel like everybody needs someone to help them along their journey to be transparent, because that's where we're losing relationships at. It's not being able to be transparent. And so a life coach comes into relationships to help sometimes people be able to communicate in the most effective way possible, because it takes skill sets to be able to communicate across the board to your partner, especially if you're dealing with someone that's dealing with an attachment style such as a dismissive avoidance. When stuff gets to a heightened level, they immediately want to go. Or you're dealing with a partner, I need an answer right now, that's dealing with anxious avoidance. I need an answer right now. So if you have a partner that needs an answer right now and a partner that needs a moment to process, it comes a clash and a conflict of interest. And so I come in when I'm dealing with partners to help people understand you can't always have an answer right now. But your partner that knows that you're dealing with anxious avoidance need to be able to let you know, listen, I want to respond to you. Just give me a little moment. And a moment, not a whole day or 24 hours, or maybe you may need that. But whatever you need, you're able to articulate that and express that. And a person that wants to run, understand, okay, I can't keep running because I don't want to deal or I don't want to feel. Let me just stay present so that this person know I care. And so a lot of times we're doing these things and we don't have the language for it because we don't know. And so when people come into me, I am intentional about walking them through effective communication.
I love that. Because I don't think we understand how simple things can be fixed. For an example, if we're constantly dealing with the grief of losing a loved one, and we're going to get a bottle and drinking every day, or we're smoking or dancing or partying, why choose something that's going to take me down a negative rabbit hole versus getting a life coach that's going to help heal me? Again, I like the term life coach over therapist, and I love the fact that we're going to have a positive outcome over a negative outcome. What am I looking for? Because I have seen people go to people and say, it didn't work for me.
Yes.
How do I know what I'm looking for when I'm trying to find somebody to help balance my life? Do you have to start with problems?
No, and a lot of times I don't even start with a problem. My point is I like to build rapport, relationship. And so a lot of times what I do is, I know a lot of people don't. People may give you 15 minutes of something free. I give a whole hour plus, because even though I tell people an hour, I end up on being on the phone with people, because that's my passion. I give a whole hour free consultation. So when people are referring people to me, I say just give them my number and tell them I don't answer strange numbers. So send a text message, let me know who you are. And I say, let's set up a consultation for free for an hour. And I sit in there and we just talk regular. I ask certain probing questions to see how I need to navigate with you. And according to what a person is willing to be transparent about is where I go from there. And then sometimes I have to start in the middle with people and work backwards to the childhood. Sometimes I have to start where they presently are and keep moving forward with them and then come back, because it's always going to entail me having to go back to your childhood. But it depends on where you are. But that's how I start. Come on into the free consultation. People say, well, what do I say to them? I said, don't say nothing to them. Just give them my number. Let me do the work. And so when I talk to the person, I'll get discernment about how I need to move with them, and then they decide if I'm a good fit for them or not.
Now, one thing I want to back up on and ask you about, because I hear it a lot, what is it about your childhood that forms your adulthood?
Because those are your formative years. So I have clients, like when people are dealing with wanting to be so clingy to a partner, a lot of times when I go back in their childhood and we start playing, I do what they call play the script out or drill it down with my clients. And so I say, okay, when was the first time that you felt so anxious, like you was about to lose somebody every time they left? And then people were like, man, wow, I never thought of that. And then I was like, I remember a time when my daddy always said that he'll be right back, and he never came right back. And so I say, listen, let's start right there. You was taught that somebody that you love will say, I'll be right back, and they didn't keep their word. You didn't know why they didn't come back. You see them years later, so forth and so on. So that builds a trauma right there. And so we don't have the tools at that age, so we don't know. So I help them pinpoint that, and then they start uncovering and revealing other things. And so then I say, so this is where it started from. This is why you clingy. It's not that you crazy. It's not that you can't be alone. It's the fact that every time you love hard in other relationships, or every time you love hard, they seem to disappear. Our daddies is our first love. Mm-hmm. And so when things are not, looking a certain kind of way, or they're taken away from us, or whatever the case may be, we compare every man to that, even though we may not realize that. And so when I start to be able to identify certain things, mama wounds, daddy wounds, I take the people back by holding their hand, letting them know you overcame all of this. Look at your age now. But the little boy and the little girl in you is still hurting. So you got to go back and let them know that it's okay. So the little girl or the little boy shows up when you feel like somebody about to leave you. Like, I need to know where you at. You say you're going to be back in 10 minutes. You're holding people accountable for time. It's not because you're prompt. It's because that's a trauma bond. So I help people navigate through the mental filters.
It's beautiful. And what I appreciate about my interview with you today is it opens up so many doors for the person that is looking but don't want to enter. You got me want to come sit on the couch and try to unravel a couple sweaters that I didn't, hung in my closet. So I do appreciate you very much. And I will say, if you're just simply listening to our conversation today, she's very knowledgeable. It is in the book. Can you give me your top 3 things that you're trying to deliver in this particular book? Because she does have a lot of books. Guys, I'm going to go back when I finish this one and research the others, because knowledge is power. And to grow in life, the more you know, the more you grow. But what are your top 3 things in this particular book here that you want the world to know about?
Well, my first thing that I want people to know is that you have to be open to understand that there are steps, and you have to give yourself grace. And it starts with how you're thinking. And you have to be okay with being transparent, because a lot of us have never had a space where we could really be honest. In your household, you're told to eat what's on your plate. You can't say, I don't like this, I don't like that. So we've been shaping at a young age and starting to unlearn those things, deprogramming. So I want people to know you can be transparent. That's the one thing. That's the first thing, purpose of it. The second thing, too, is also to know through this book that even when you are being transparent, you also got to know that there's a way that you have to speak to yourself. And so that's also why I have a prayer in there. I have declarations, because you have to speak well over yourself in order to experience well. So I have a thing I like to tell my clients: what you're saying about yourself to yourself every day, it matters.
Give me an example.
So if you keep thinking, okay, man, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, oh my God, this is too hard, I don't know where to start. You keep saying that, your body is going to take on that and react to that. So every time it looks like you're facing an obstacle, now that obstacle look hard, and that you can't do it. But if you're watching your verbiage, you're now starting to see, okay, I can overcome this. I may not be able to look at it as all the 10 steps that I got to go through overall, but I'll look at the first step. Let me conquer the first step. Do that. I could do step 2. So you start to unpack it. And so that's what I help people do, unpack it. So you got to watch how you're talking. And so that's the second thing. And the third thing, there's a part in there that's called Dear Self, and that bridges over into all my journal therapy books, because I want people to start having a conversation with themselves, because a lot of us are not.
I'm a writer. I like to write. I'll be honest with you. I can go back to high school where I used to, but I write when I'm angry, or I write when I'm mad, and I write to remember what part of that is a positive.
All of it. So I have the greatest self-taught 30-day, 60-day, and 90-day. And so all of them I give a situation or a scenario, and then I'm letting you into my world of how I had to walk through the steps. All of it's good, because every emotion matters. you can't just look at one thing and then not look at the other, because a lot of times a lot of our issues are clustered. And so, like, say I may be afraid, but you see confidence when you hear me talk, but I may be displaying that, but it's other levels of me being afraid. I may be dealing with abandonment. I may be dealing with it feeling insecure and inadequate. It's a lot of things, because we could train ourselves to display what we want to display. But when you sit with thought, that's why it's good. Because when you're sitting with yourself, you're allowing the subconscious thoughts and the unconscious thoughts to come to the forefront.
Talking to yourself.
Yes. So that's why I have those 3 called the greatest self-talk. And then I also have them on my YouTube channel, where I actually read my thickest, my 3rd book is this thick. It's very thick. It's 90 days in there. But I read it to you, because how you feel matters. So that's a blessing that you're able to get it out. But also to know that you can write even when you're not upset. You can write when you're happy.
I write my thoughts. Like I'll write down things that I've in my year of 2025. For my birthday, I sat at the beach and I started writing some things I wanted to do. Now, what I have learned is when I put them on paper, I'm touching it now. Mm-hmm. I'm just not thinking it anymore.
Yes.
So that's a part of Unapologetically You as well. I started to take accountability for what I think I want to do. And now it's in front of me. Now it's an obligation.
Yes.
So I hope that the world watches this interview and they understand that we are a thought away from freedom.
Yes.
We are a thought away from starting over. We are a thought away from winning over losing. And I'm excited for you, Charlene, because I see you, but you are a lot bigger than you present to the world. And I'm telling you that because it's like a key to a gate.
Yes.
You know that?
Yes, I choose to be in hiding.
But I'm going to tell you something that I learned, Charlene. They said, have the audacity. I went to Chicago a few months ago with an event that my sister was a guest on. And a lady did a speaking, and she said, have the audacity. The most biggest people that are humble hide their gift. When you have the audacity, it's taking what you've worked so hard for and letting it be known. Now, I don't say be loud, like you say, be boastful, but having the audacity will allow you to know you saved my life. You're helping me turn my life around. And so when I say be louder about it, it may be speaking in more rooms. Mm-hmm. It may be... I'm just excited about this book because I'm going to read it. I'm excited about knowing that I got some loved ones, even me, that may be coming to sit on your couch to become greater people. And maybe you hear me, maybe you don't, but have the audacity because you have done the work. It does not take a license to save a life. It's the expertise. And you have the blessings. So when I said that doctor told me it's science, it's my opinion, and it's that one gift that nobody can account for, you possess all of that. So I greatly appreciate you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Don't be surprised if I come back and say, Charlene, I need you back because I want to do a panel of women that can align all these different qualities of us being better. Not just for women, even for men. Mm-hmm. Again, I love my brother to death, and I want him to know that, hey, I got somebody, she's warm and loving, and she gonna listen to you, and she gonna help you get it all together, brother, because he's doing really good. But again, sometimes I think as men, they don't hear "I love you" enough, or they're not heard enough because we shut them out. I want to be a part of the winning team, not the losing team. And Charlene is an advocate for winning. So, is there anything you want to ask me in reverse?
My question to you is, where would you like to see your podcast?
Reaching everyday people. Honestly, we're all everyday people, whether we're rich people, whether we're poor people. I think sometimes we really focus on a look or a financial standpoint, when in reality, the richest people in life are wealthy because of their health, their mental health. Because even if they're sick, they know how to celebrate life. One things that stick with me the most, I had a lady dealing with terminally ill cancer, and she was so positive about it that it's like, what do you complain about every day, Iris? And so it's helping other people reach success. And when I say success, it's because mentally I'm healthy, emotionally I'm healthy. I may not be in the best health, but I'm gonna eat better. I'm gonna carry myself in a better way so that I can at the end of the day say I fulfill my reason of being here on earth. So unapologetically you is getting there your way.
Yes.
So thank you again for coming. And I will see you again. Y'all get this book, seriously. Beautiful book. I'm going to tag her credentials, because if they're not ready to come into your office and sit on your couch, I know that your content will reach them. And eventually, like you said, y'all will bump into each other in the grocery store. They'll see you somewhere and they're like, Lord, this is my sign. So thank you again. Thank you for coming.
Hi, welcome everyone. This is Charlene Norwood, aka Coach Lean. I'm coming to you, letting you know about my newest book called The Human Operations of Life. This book is designed to help you deal with your mental clutter from a clinical standpoint, and also giving you biblical references and prayers also to help you to keep the momentum of speaking life into yourself every day. My mission in this earth is to allow you to know that you matter more than you have ever given yourself credit for, and to help you walk that journey in the best version that you could possibly be. I am on YouTube currently doing my virtual journal therapy, and you can reach me at Coach Lean, as well as my handles for all my other social media sites is just Charlene Norwood. But this book here will help you walk through the necessary steps, and I use a mathematical standpoint in order to help assist you to walk through those steps day by day. And you can also feel free to reach out to me via email at hugmyheartcoaching@gmail.com. Me or one of my assistants will get back with you within a 24 to 48 hour time frame. I want you to know that you do not have to suffer alone. And so I want you to decide once and for all that you want to become the best version of yourself without any apologies.